How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a conservative member of parliament over there in UK by the name of Kemi Badenoch. Hopefully I didn't butcher her name, but she's also the equalities minister for the Conservative Party. She totally destroyed Black Lives Matter and the idea of critical race theory. Now, before we get into what she said and my particular viewpoints on it, let's roll the clip. In this clip, you'll see what she was talking about as far as BLM, critical race theory, and some personal experience she's had with these organizations, ideologies, whatever you want to call them. After we get done with that, I'll talk about what she said. Then I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
What we are against is the teaching of contested political ideas as if they are accepted facts. We don't do this with communism, we don't do this with socialism, we don't do it with capitalism. And I want to speak about a dangerous trend in race relations that has come far too close to home to my life. And it is the promotion of critical race theory, an ideology that sees my blackness as victimhood and their whiteness as oppression. I want to be absolutely clear. This government stands unequivocally against critical race theory. Some schools have decided to openly support the anti-capitalist Black Lives Matter group, often fully aware that they have a statutory duty to be politically impartial. Black lives do matter, of course they do. But we know that the Black Lives Matter movement, capital BLM, is political. I know this because at the height of the protest, I've been told of white Black Lives Matter protesters calling, and I'm afraid I apologize for saying this word, calling a black armed police officer guarding Downing Street a pet nigger. That is why we do not endorse that movement on this side of the House. It is a political movement, and what would be nice would be for members on the opposite side to condemn many of the actions that we see this political movement instead of pretending that it is a completely wholesome anti-racist organization. There is a lot of pernicious stuff that is being pushed, and we stand against that. We do not want to see teachers teaching their white pupils about white privilege and inherited racial guilt. And let me be clear, any school which teaches these elements of critical race theory as fact, or which promotes partisan political views such as defunding the police without offering a balanced treatment of opposing views, is breaking the law.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, that was right on point. Bravo. You know, I figured that UK is pretty much far gone. Like Western Europe is pretty much far gone, but not so fast. Not so fast, because let's not forget, UK did leave the European Union, or hopefully they did leave. And that's a whole process over there, going back and forth, trying to make deals or whatever. But they did do that. Brexit did happen. It still may be a process, but they got the ball rolling either way it goes. So there's some hope for Europe, especially Western Europe. A lot of these places have been infiltrated by just crazy amounts of immigration or migration, whatever you want to call it, from the third world. And the people that are coming are not the best, okay? They're not getting the doctors and the lawyers that come from the Middle East, that come to the U.S. and other parts of the world. They're getting people that don't really need to be anywhere other than where they're from, okay? Get your life right where you're from, then go somewhere else so you can be productive in society rather than kind of being a bump on a log. But that's a different story, so I'm going to go ahead and digress. What she said about critical race theory and Black Lives Matter is right on point, 1000% on point. The idea of Black Lives Matter, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, I'm black and my life matters. But see, the thing about it is people are trying to hide behind just that idea of a Black life mattering, and they're using it as a weapon. They're attacking people with it, literally and figuratively. They're attacking people literally in the streets. Okay, people are getting shot and killed over Black Lives Matter. They're getting their businesses ruined, burned down, reputations ruined, all kind of stuff over Black Lives Matter. You got police officers out here being shot as a result of Black Lives Matter. It's a dangerous ideology. Some may say, oh, it's a few bad apples, all this, that, and the third. But when there's a consistent pattern of this ideology being used in a negative way, at a certain point, you got to just call it for what it is rather than trying to hide what's happening. You can't hide what's happening too much longer. All right. And then what she said about these mostly white folks, because that's who it is. You're talking about BLM. It's going to be majority white. If you go to Atlanta or some other highly black populated area, you may have quite a few black folks out there. If there's a majority Black Lives Matter rally, I'd be surprised, but maybe it's possible. The reality is that the majority of BLM are white people. When you have the majority white people come up to a police officer and call them a pet N-word, it's like, okay, now what are we doing? Are we fighting for racial justice, racial equality, or are Black Lives Matter the new version of the KKK? Okay, you don't hear about the Klan anymore. The last time I saw them really was on the 90s back in talk shows, Sally Jesse Raphael, Phil Donahue, and they just be sitting there, slack-jawed yokels, talking like they got about 5 teeth in their mouth. That was the extent of the Klan. But now these guys, they're organized, they got money, they got websites, Facebook pages, and they have the support of many in the federal government over here and over in UK and other parts of the world. So I think that the Antifa and Black Lives Matter, same thing, are much more dangerous than these other racist groups that people claim are the actual problem. Where's the problem coming from? All right. If you turn on the TV, if you open your newspaper, if you just search for articles, local, national, or whatever, and you're seeing some of the racially motivated violence and so-called protests that descend into violence, you're going to see Black Lives Matter and Antifa always right front and center. That's what's going on. All right. And this whole idea of critical race theory, I think I did a few videos about that, or at least one, and I'll link to those in the box. But basically, this thing says that if you are a white person, then you're just superior to everyone. You are supreme. And if you're a non-white person, especially a black person, then you're inferior and it's somehow unfair. How is it any different than a white supremacist saying certain things about his race versus others? It's the same thing. I don't really see the difference. A white supremacist says that, hey, I'm white, I'm better, I'm superior than everyone else. The black and brown, you're inferior. You can't do X, Y, and Z without my help. Without me, then you have no existence. You have no life. That's the white supremacist idea. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. Critical race theory says the same thing. White people are superior. They're the best. But the only difference, I said there's one difference. The difference is that they say it's unfair that white people are superior to the inferior black and brown or wherever other color they are, aside from white people, are. That's what they're saying. They just feel bad and it's unfair, and they want the superior white man to do a thing and his superior nature to help everyone else out and to reduce his own standing. That's what's going on. So I don't believe in white supremacy. I'm not a racist. So why would I believe in ideas that push the concept of white supremacy as reality, and also that push racism as a normal thing to be engaged in? I'm not for it at all. So the government most certainly shouldn't be behind it. If you as a regular normie, not you guys watching, you guys are great, but if any regular normie out there wants to believe in white supremacy or racism or whatever, that's their right. I can debate them and say how wrong they are all day, but I can't stop them from thinking that. What I can do is say that we have certain laws in the books. If you want to go out here and practice your white supremacy on others by hurting them and taking their rights away, now you're going to go straight to the penitentiary, straight to the gulag, making big rocks into little rocks. That's where you're going to go. But as far as your thought process, I can't control that. Whatever you want to think, whatever you want to believe, that's on you. But when the government gets involved, now they got a whole different thing going on. This is why I like Trump eliminating critical race theory from the federal government. Hopefully, it gets eliminated throughout all government and also private, because if you are in a private business, there's certain laws against discrimination and racism on the job place. Like, let's say you go to a job, right? You punch in, you punch out. There's certain things. You got EEOC, all kind of stuff. You shouldn't be able to push critical race theory in the workplace, or definitely not in school. Not in school at all, because these are federally funded places. You shouldn't be able to push critical race theory there. It's kind of weird as I close. You have a society in Western Europe, all over the world really, but especially Western Europe and America, to where we're getting beyond this whole idea of racism and colonialism. We're so-called progressing, right? Okay, we're progressing, but at the same time, we're regressing. We're getting beyond the idea of racism against blacks and other non-whites, but now the pendulum is swinging the other direction. Rather than racism towards blacks and everybody else, is going towards whites. Okay, how about let's not have this racist pendulum swing at all? Let's eliminate the whole idea. All right. If you're going to be against racism, it's got to be the same thing across the board, not just selectively whenever we want. And shout out to Kimmy Badenoch. Hopefully, I didn't butcher your name. Again, I'm sorry. She laid it out 1000% accurate, straight to the point, and right on point. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Kimmy Badenoch was right about Black Lives Matter and critical race theory having no place in the government? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or was she wrong? Should we teach Black Lives Matter and critical race theory? Is it okay for a group of majority white people that claim to be fighting for black people, hands up, don't shoot, Black Lives Matter? Is it okay for them to call a black policeman a pet N-word? Is that okay? I mean, is that all right? I don't get racism from the right. I just don't get it. We're all about just everybody coming together, working as one, working as an individual to work as one, if that makes any sense. Meaning you do the best thing for yourself and for your immediate family, and you take that effort, that best you're doing for your immediate surroundings, yourself, your family, and then bring that to the world. You contribute to the world. You're a good offering for yourself and for others. You work well with others, all right? We're not about this whole communist collective. We're all about individual purpose that will help the nation. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.